Alrighty, hey, what's going on, everybody? Enter ChazmaN here, back with another rendition of Enter ChazmaN Live. That's right, it's Thursday, October 9th, and I am ready to talk about random stuff. Hey, Skylar Twilight's already in chat. What's up, Skylar? Thank you so much for joining. How are you? Alright, so I got a couple of things on my mind that I did want to talk about, but, what I did want to mention, shoot. Oh, I guess real quick, just to touch on what we're going to be talking about. Hey, Odin is Salty's in chat. What's up, Odin? Thank you so much for joining. We're going to talk about a book, which is something I don't think I've done yet on the channel. That's right, I've been reading a little bit and finished up a book, and I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. We're going to be talking about some big stuff that kind of was happening yesterday, if you didn't get to see, with a Twitch streamer by the name of Hassan Piker. We'll be talking about that. And then I just downloaded this game called The Finals. Pretty wacky game so far, but fun, said Odin. I've actually heard of The Finals. That looks pretty good. I'm telling you, Odin, I'm actually thinking about possibly buying Battlefield. I think Battlefield comes out tomorrow. Oh, my voice just broke. I gotta get used to talking. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting Battlefield maybe. We'll see. That comes out tomorrow. I've been waiting to see some reviews to see, because I don't want to buy it and have it be another disaster like the previous one was at 2042. But from what I'm seeing, most of the reviews seem to be pretty positive on it. As far as the multiplayer, the campaign seems to be a little iffy. That doesn't bother me. Like, I'm not in it for the campaign, so I don't know. I'm seeing good things about the actual multiplayer, so I'm thinking maybe I'll get it. We'll see. I'll wait till tomorrow and see how things are, and if they are good, I'll probably buy it. Oh, as I was saying, could talk about a book, talk about the Hassan Piker stuff, and then what else do I got? Oh, I wanted to talk about some of the games I've been playing a little bit recently. That's right. That's what I wanted to bring up. So give me 1 second to pull up a couple more things, and then we will get the show on the road. Once again, this is your opportunity to throw any topics my way that you think might be kind of interesting for me to touch on. So let me know what you guys got, if you got anything. That's right. So I wanted to pull up. I did want to pull you up, and then I didn't want to pull you up. Sorry, I knew there was something I was forgetting to pull up in terms of visuals. Alright, so, are you guys ready to jump in? I think I'm ready to jump in. I just had some pasta my mom made. Doing good today, just gaming? Nice. I haven't had a whole lot of time. Honestly, like, I know I'm unemployed right now, but honestly, I don't really game that much. Like, you guys, anytime I'm on streaming with you guys, that's really the only time I'm gaming. Maybe, I don't know. I like to try and work on some stuff during the day, so. Alright, so, let me get ready here. Let me switch over the music, and we'll start my first topic. So, first thing we're going to talk about... Uh-oh, where's my... Oh man, I had some music pulled up and now it's not here. Why are you not there? Well, that's annoying. Just had some fried fish. I'm feeling good. I've never really been a seafood guy. Like, I guess fried fish is okay depending on how it's made for me. MP4. There it is. See if this is usable now. Yeah, there it is. I fixed it. Alright, so, sorry about that. So I just got done reading a book for the first time in a while. Something, I guess, due to me recently becoming unemployed, there was something I had really had on my backlog that I really wanted to do for a long time. So I read a book. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. Hey, Veronica Rose just joined. What's up, Veronica? How are you? So, I read The Hobbit. If you guys can't see my version of it. Yeah, that's right. J.R.R. Tolkien's original work, The Hobbit. Something I finally got to read. Really fascinating. My kind of backstory with it is I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, always have been. But as of late, I think I had watched the movies originally, the Hobbit, the trilogy Hobbit movies. Liked them, didn't love them as much as the Lord of the Rings, but I always knew eventually I wanted to give that book a go and to try it out. Um, oh, I actually have this version up on screen. I have that version of the book as well. I only have two versions. I have this one, which is like my favorite. I just love kind of the front art style of Smaug. Uh, yeah, is it Smaug the Destroyer? No, that's Azog the Defiler. But yeah, I've got that, and I actually have that version that's up on screen. If you see here, I've got my Hobbit, my Pocket Edition. This is a tiny little. It's like the 75th anniversary edition, and it's like a tiny little book. I love both of these. I got my big and my pocket size edition. But yeah, so as someone who loves Lord of the Rings, I watched all the movies, watched The Hobbit. Real quick, thank you to this video, just using some B-roll from Pontus Presents. What did I think of The Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien's Hobbit? I personally loved this book. I read it through and through, loved the book. It's definitely weird approaching this story after having read after watching the movies first before reading the book. I definitely feel as though kind of a lot of the complaints people had about the trilogy definitely fit here, in my personal opinion. I definitely think there's a lot of story elements and plots that Peter Jackson expanded into something that they probably didn't need to be expanded upon. I honestly feel like I haven't read the books, but I think the world of it is cool, says Odin. Yeah, I've always loved him. I read the first book, Lord of the Rings, in high school. Or it might have been right after high school. Sometime around high school, I read that one. And then I read part of The Two Towers. Never read fully The Two Towers, and I never read Return of the King. I definitely think that's something I'm going to try and tackle here now that I read The Hobbit. The Hobbit, honestly, this felt like a fairly short book. I think this is fairly shorter than Lord of the Rings. The version I had was like 250 pages, which is like quite manageable. It's really not like a long book. I'd say it probably took me maybe a month to read or something. That's with me reading slowly. I was only reading like a chapter a night or something. But yeah, I definitely think there's just I'm going off the top of my dome. All the plot elements. I didn't look up. I didn't create any sort of document. Maybe I should have. But I would say for the most part, the book feels very much, or the movies, in my opinion, feel like they followed the book very closely. Within the book, I would just say the only difference between that and the movies is, again, there are smaller plot elements that Peter Jackson added that aren't in the book. I would say right off the dome, some of the more noticeable stuff is if you are a fan of Azog the Defiler, there's no Azog the Defiler in the book at all. He's like the main big bad, other than Smaug in the movie trilogy, and he's not even in the book. He's in there, but he's only in there for a mention. I think Thorin Oakenshield and Gandalf mention him for like a hot moment, really, and they only mention him for a minute, and they talk about, oh yeah, Azog the Defiler killed your father, Thorin. Was it Thrain? I think Thrain is Thorin's father. They only mention him. They're like, oh yeah, he killed your dad way back when, and Azog's like been dead for a long time, so he's not really in the book. There is some things, I think Azog's son, I think, what was his name? Was it Balg or Drag? I don't know. His son, Azog's son, is actually in the book, and he ends up being the leader actually of the orcs and the goblins who like show up way later in the book. But yeah, that's all I'm really gonna focus. That's all I really care to focus on with talking the book is just the differences between them. The whole Evangeline Lilly actor who plays the female elf who falls in love with is it Keely or Feely? I think it's Keely. The whole love story between them, the love triangle. It's almost like a love triangle, yeah, a little bit between Evangeline Lilly and Legolas and Keeley, and that is almost that is non-existent in the book. In fact, Legolas is not even in the book, and Evangeline Lilly's character is not in the book at all. I mean, who is in the book is the Elven King, or the king of, or the Woodsman realm, Elf King. He is in there, so he's in there and he plays a big part towards the latter end. Um, any other major differences? I honestly thought for the longest time that when you're reading the book, I was towards the latter end. I was in like the last 40, 50 pages, and I was like, wait, did Peter Jackson entirely just make up the whole side plot of? I remember playing the Lord of the Rings Conquest game, basically Star Wars Battlefront, but Lord of the Rings. It was cool in my opinion, says Odin. I think I have that game somewhere behind me. But yeah, there was the whole plot element they had of the necromancer in the movies, and I was worried that like they weren't gonna even mention the necromancer at all in the book. And then luckily at the very end of the book, Gandalf, shortly before the Battle of the Five Armies, Gandalf luckily tells, or Bilbo's been wondering where he's been, and then luckily Gandalf is like, "Oh yes, me and my homies went and dealt with the necromancer." He said it's all very like hand wavy, well, not hand wavy, but it's a very quick mention that he dealt with the necromancer, and then it's a very quick that he doesn't specifically say that it is Sauron, which we all know at this point. The necromancer is Sauron over in is it Dol Guldur, I think is the area. Let me look that up. I think the area is Dol Guldur. Let me double check. Dol Guldur. Dol Guldur, Hill of Sorcery, was a fortress in the southern of Mirkwood. Yes. Well, I'm surprised I remembered that name. That name is always so hard for me to remember. Dol Guldur. Yeah, that's the ancient castle over in Mirkwood where the necromancer resides. I thought that whole plot element was going to be gone. Gandalf does quickly mention it, and Gandalf, he does essentially say it's Sauron without saying the name Sauron. He basically just says, he basically just says it's a being that we're going to have to deal with down the line, but we've dealt with it for now. Which basically means, you know, he knows whom that is. Which I guess is good enough for me, you know. I guess they don't specifically need to say Sauron. But yeah, he literally wraps that up in like 2 or 3 sentences. He's just like, we went to Dol Guldur, dealt with this thing, we're going to have to deal with that later, don't worry about that. So, yeah. Which I guess to an extent that is something in the movies I did like. That's one of the only side plot elements I actually liked, was seeing them go to Dol Guldur and dealing with the necromancer and Sauron. Partly because you just get to see Elrond and what's it Saruman show up and all of them deal with him. Same with what's her name? It's the female elf. It starts with a G. Wow, man, dude, it's so hard to remember the name of characters in Lord of the Rings. What's her name? It's I'm thinking of it. Hold on. I'm not looking it up. It's Glendarian? What's live on stream trying to remember names. Galadriel. There we go. I looked it up. All right. Yeah, Galadriel's there, and she's helping him. Like, that's one of the best scenes I would say in the entire like prequel trilogy. Or not prequel. What am I talking about? Star Wars and the Hobbit trilogy, whatever. Man, Peter Jackson didn't need to make those 3 movies. Like, those movies, in my opinion, almost the 2 movies, the Desolation of Smaug and the Battle of the Five Armies, those movies bleed together so much in my head in terms of what exactly happens here. The only one, in my opinion, that was worthy of being what it was the first one, which that would be the Hobbit. What was the first one even called? It was Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. That one, in my opinion, was fine the way it was. I definitely think the second and third movie could have been combined into one movie. They should have only been 2. I don't know why those were 3 movies. I guess just maybe the movie studio was like, yo, we need a trilogy here. But yeah, there's lots of really cool things. I don't know. I really love the book. As you can tell, oh, I forgot to get rid of my banner. Yeah, as you can tell, I really loved it. I mean, I feel like I'm going on, but lots of cool, really things. They did show Bard at the end over in Lake Town. Bard showed up. He played a much smaller role than I thought he'd. Or no, he didn't. I guess he did play his normal role. He does take down. He takes down Smog very quickly. Like once Smog reaches Lake Town, he kills him in like one chapter. In the same fashion, he just like has an ancient bow and one last arrow shoots it, hits the chest plate that's open for Smaug. So that's all really cool. I'm trying to remember what exactly, were there any additions in the book? This is where me coming up with notes would have been helpful. But I think I'm gonna wrap it up. How long I've been going? About 15 minutes. Freaking love the book. Fantastic book. There's so many cool little things that, like, once again, you get kind of amazed at like how much context they can put into a book, considering like how many movies it required for Peter to get across some of his messages. The book's just able to. Books are just, I guess, because of, you know, they can like tell you what happens within like a couple sentences, and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. Like again, the whole thing with the necromancer, I thought they were gonna completely not talk about that, and then within like 3 sentences, they're like, no, wait, this happened. Okay, and you're like, oh, okay. I can actually understand though how back in the day that could have been a very cool side plot that people would have been like, oh, what happened there? I would have loved to have known more. So I think that is one side plot that Peter Jackson, him expanding upon it, really was cool. I did really like that. But yeah, really great book. I'm definitely excited because now I'm definitely going to be going into. I think I'm definitely going to reread Lord of the Rings. I'm probably going to go through all of them. I also have the Silmarillion. I just bought that. That'll probably be the last one that I read. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's me. My apologies. I rambled on for a while for The Hobbit. Love the book. I definitely recommend to any of you. I would actually say if any of you like ever decide to get into the series, definitely start with The Hobbit. And it's an easy. I don't really read books now, but I used to read a bit. I got comic books though, so there's that to read. I used to read a lot. This is one thing I definitely want to get back into. Is like when I was younger, man, I could read. I used to read a lot, like in high school and college. It's something I got away from, and something I'm very much happy to get back into. But yeah, I would definitely say if you ever start the series, start with The Hobbit. It's very short, only like 250 pages. And it's an easy read. I really don't think there's a heck of a whole lot here. Maybe if you have if you can get like a newish book, I think like this one has like a lot of I think it actually does like explain some things as it goes through, doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't. I don't remember. You get something with pretty illustrations like this. But all right, y'all. That's it. That's all I had to say for The Hobbit. I really enjoyed it. I guess now I kind of want to get into. Why don't we start talking about some video games I've been playing lately? I'll be very quick with my thoughts here. All right, so talked about The Hobbit, the desolation of Smaug. I guess first off, why don't we talk about? Let's change the music. Let's put some spooky time music on here. Dang it! I keep going to the wrong stuff. Where's my Silent Hill music? There we go. Alright, y'all. And then next up, we're going to talk a little bit. I probably won't go on terribly long. I did get to play Silent Hill F, if you guys didn't get to see on stream. Yeah, so, what did I think of Silent Hill F? Spooky month, let's go, said Veronica. So, if you guys didn't see on the channel, I recently went back through and played through Silent Hill 2 Remake. Let me cover myself up there. But yeah, recently went back through, played through Silent Hill Remake. So what does that mean I think about Silent Hill F now that I've kind of jumped through that? Um, this one's a little bit more difficult. Like, I loved Silent Hill 2 Remake. That was probably my first Silent Hill game that I've actually played through 100% and did everything for as much as I could. This one was fun. I enjoyed aspects of it. I definitely think my experience on this one was a little bit more up and down. I would just say, to me, this game wasn't like the scariest thing in the world. I definitely think Silent Hill, yeah. Silent Hill 2 Remake was definitely a lot scarier. There were a couple of scary moments, I would say, here. I would say this one is probably more like gory and kind of cringe-inducing at some points because of the gore. But other than that, I wouldn't... Got a Silent Hill meme said for on it. Silent Hill meme? Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that this was like the scariest game. I don't know. I guess, in my opinion, like, the real big takeaway from this is probably, like, the thing people are going to remember, obviously, I would think, would be, like, the thematic changes to the series. That this, Oh, I'm dumb. I was reading the chat up on the game. Actually, I'm blocking... I didn't realize I'm blocking my chat. Hold on one sec. I guess I could just move my chat. Alright, there we go. Sorry. I didn't realize I had chat upon chat there. It's trying to make it less distracting. But Hinako and the whole story. I don't know. I definitely think, like, especially after having played a Silent Hill game, I definitely feel as though it's kind of harder to, like, not see some things coming. I mean, I guess at this point, everyone who's played a Silent Hill game kind of knows what to expect with certain things. I definitely felt as though I kind of knew where the game was going. I don't know. Two chats, said Veronica. I don't know. I guess the one thing I should focus on, in my opinion, was probably the gameplay. I definitely think, in my opinion, the gameplay in this one definitely, in my opinion, was kind of the big letdown, I would say, compared to Metal Gear, compared to Silent Hill 2 Remake. I definitely think the combat here is, like, super janky. I just don't think it felt as good here to, like, beat up on the monsters as it did with Silent Hill 2. So I just think, like, the Silent Hill 2, maybe it's because it was more gun gameplay oriented. No, but even with the plank, the wooden, your nailed board, I definitely think even felt better. I just think in this one, they kind of tried to... my thing is I don't know if they tried to intentionally make Hinako seem more... if they tried to just, like, dumb down her fighting combat because she's a girl. I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for, because early on, like, her stamina, I think the stamina thing was one of the big things that I hated in this game. Just the fact that, like, her stamina ran up so quickly. I don't know. Maybe that's not what they were going for. I don't think they were approaching it from the her being a girl aspect. I think they were just doing that one to try and make things scary, was to do something with the stamina. But, like, to me, it just came off as, like, annoying. I don't know if you guys saw early on, but, like, I played the game on hard, and I was incredibly annoyed by a lot of the stamina stuff. And then they introduced so many other little mechanics that I just didn't... Just combat-wise, I just didn't enjoy any of it. I don't know. I'm finding it hard to, like... It's kind of sad because, like, I didn't, like, love the game. I thought it was just okay. I actually, like, kind of looking back, I think this might have been a game that I might have been willing to wait on to play. I just think it's hard to kind of wait to play this kind of game because of spoilers and stuff. So that's kind of the main reason why I wanted to play it, is just to avoid any of that stuff. But, I don't know, overall, I enjoyed the game. I think... I keep reading the wrong chat. I keep looking on my screen for the chat. I'm just distracting myself. It's fun. I don't know. It's hard for me to like really recommend this one if you've played like a Silent Hill 2 remake. I just think Silent Hill 2 remake just did everything so well, and this one was just a little more. I don't know. I guess this one probably played more into like the lore of the Japanese lore more than any of the lore within like Silent Hill 2 remake. Silent Hill 2 remake just mainly focused on like a lot of the problems with the main character, and this one just had so much like lore based stuff. Like I almost want to say like I kind of appreciate what they were doing with that in terms of trying to add to like some of the background and of the characters and stuff. I don't know. I kind of find it hard to talk about this one. I thought it was fun. With the problem with the Hinako character was, I will say, towards the end, I at least appreciated that they did at least explain what they were kind of going for with a lot of her problems at the end. It didn't just end up being like a lot of stuff with just her being depressed or stuff like that. I think for the longest time I had mentioned on stream that I thought her problems were going to be like having like her sexual identity was what I was getting at. But I definitely appreciate that towards the end they at least talked about how it had more to do with like societal structures within like Japan and like certain like expectations for women at the time, and a lot of stuff like that. Again, I won't try and touch on too many spoilers. I think that's why I'm finding it hard to talk about it. But yeah, that kind of the aspect I did appreciate. They did really like connect the dots between like 1960s Japan, which were like, and kind of the expectations on women, and what like they even touched on like you know what is a woman's role, what are expectations of women, you know, and just kind of the stresses and struggles of trying to deal with expectations of your family, expectations of an arranged possible marriage, expectations of your friends. I don't know, I appreciated that. I'm at least happy that, like, even though this is made by a Japanese company, I at least appreciated that they touched on, you know, maybe previous problems maybe with the culture in the past, you know, versus maybe how modern times are. I appreciated that. Kind of looking back on it, though, another thing I'm thinking on is, like, the enemies I don't think were that particularly interesting. I'd say the character in white that you see throughout the game, that's probably the most interesting villain that you really don't run into it that often, other than into a couple cutscenes like this here. But that's probably the most interesting villain throughout the game, other than the Fox Man, which I wasn't that interested in the Fox guy. To me, he kind of was like, it was like obvious. It's like, oh, this is a bad guy. I don't like him. He doesn't have good intentions. Which, I will say another thing that's, I'm talking about the character in white, I won't talk about. That's a major spoiler too much. But, the one thing I will appreciate is, similar to other Silent Hill games, this one kind of plays it up and makes you think that there are, like, good characters, or there are good aspects of certain things. And this game kind of played it very much like, oh, there is nothing good going on here. And I did like it. I at least liked how they wrapped it up and did stuff like that. And I will say, if you do play the game, I did feel like it took me a while to, like, really get into it. I would say the first 5 to 7 hours are kind of so-so. The game really ratchets its I can't talk. It really ramps it up towards the latter end. Like, that last, like, 4 hours is pretty weird and pretty insane what they try and do. So I appreciated that. I did like that. And I don't know. That's all I got. I like the game. Didn't, like, completely love it. I would say to anyone who loves Silent Hill, you're probably gonna like it. But if you're expecting, like, Silent Hill 2, I wouldn't say this is anywhere near that. I would definitely say Silent Hill 2, for me, was a better time. And that's it. That was my terrible impression. I don't know. I always find it hard to talk about things when you can't talk about spoilers. And that's all I had. There you go. Silent Hill F. Let's see, what else? Turn that off. And then, so due to popular demand from our Discord and from some other people in chat, we did play 2 more games, though these were 2 of our indie games that I got to play. I'm very curious to kind of talk about these. These ones I'll be very quick on. Let's move over here. So I did get to play a game, 2 smaller games called Mad Father and Misao. Oh, probably should move me over. There we go. So what did I think of Mad Father? I definitely, you know what, I'll wrap up my thoughts both in this one chat. I loved Mad Father. I thought Mad Father was really fun. I did enjoy Misao, but I don't think I ended up enjoying Misao as much as Mad Father. I definitely think Mad Father to me was... Oh, I never noticed. There was something a little interesting. Playing Peak. Mad Father to me was a better experience than Misao. I think they definitely tried to do 2 like different things. Misao definitely went for like more of like this weird like trial by fire type thing where you're constantly dying, just trying to figure out what you can interact with, which is kind of interesting. I did enjoy that. Mad Father I enjoyed more because I felt like Mad Father had a much better just way of telling its story than I think Misao did. Misao, in my opinion, was just far more basic in its attempt at kind of getting across what the plot was. Simply by you just collect these 6 items, and then that kind of ended up being it. And then there's just like there's just about it. Like Mad Father actually had like a bunch of plot elements. Like you did kind of start out doing that at the beginning of the game, just collect these handful of items. But then it kind of went so many different places after that. I feel like there was a lot more variety in the storytelling with Mad Father than there was with Misao. Now, I never quite figured out which one came first, Mad Father or Misao. I definitely think in Misao there were far more references to Mad Father. So I want to say Mad Father came out first, but I should have looked that up. I don't know which one came out first. I would say Mad Father did, and then Misao was after. Actually, I'll just look it up now. I got the time. I'm in no like hurry. Let me just ask it. Did Mad Father or Misao happen first? Says Mad Father happens first, and the events of the original 2011 Misao are a sequel to it, though Misao was originally a separate game by the same developer. Oh, I see what's happening here. Okay, so it's saying that technically the game Misao came out before Mad Father, but story-wise, I guess they ended up changing some things around in the original Misao game to mirror stuff within Mad Father. So, plot-wise, canonically, I guess, Mad Father happens first, then Misao. But Misao technically came out before. But I guess last second they just, like, changed some stuff, I guess, with some remaster or something and changed everything to connect. Which is pretty interesting. I was going to say that makes sense, because there were, like, a bunch of references in Misao to Mad Father, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah, Mad Father was super fun. I definitely think what they were going with the titular Mad Father was super cool, and I don't want to say funny, but very dark, and I appreciated what they were going. I want to say Misao might have been higher if we saw the full clarity of the truth ending. Even shows what happens to the bullies. Ah, I see. It's interesting, since the end of Mad Father, it used the music from Misao, which was in the library. I see. Yeah, I just looked it up and I don't know, that's what it says. It just says that the game technically Misao came out before Mad Father, but that later on, like canonically, I guess that it's kind of backwards. I don't know. It's very interesting. But I enjoyed these games. I would definitely recommend them. They were super cheap on Steam. I think they were like, what were they like? I think they were like $6 and $8 or something like that. So not really super expensive games. I would say the one that's probably the most replayable is definitely Mad Father. Although maybe the one more fun might be Misao, since like if you go back through the game, maybe because you know how you can die everywhere, maybe you can like blast through the game or something. I don't know. Pretty fun. That's all I got. I enjoyed the game. I loved all the art style behind everything. It was super pretty. Um, yeah. I guess I would say for all the future indie games, if you want, throw them my way. Any recommendations you guys might have, throw in the chat or join the Discord. I'm open to whatever you guys got. Alright, and that's all I wanted to talk about there. Had a good time with both of those. 39 deaths in Misao? Is that really how many I had? Goodness. I didn't even realize that. Alright, so I guess shoot, I'm only 40 minutes in and I'm already on like the main topic I had. Alright, so if you guys didn't see, there was a major thing that happened, I guess, within the Twitch community yesterday. I guess somebody you guys already know from me, somebody I don't particularly like. I've already done a video kind of, I don't want to say crap talking because it's not. I don't like the guy, so I didn't mind. There was a big hubbub between him and H3. Hassan Piker over on Twitch. I'm not a big fan of him. I kind of think he's kind of a. I think what I dislike more than someone just flat out being kind of a bad person is someone who like is a liar about things and then being bad, which I think is probably the biggest thing I don't like about someone like Hassan is like. I think he's kind of just a flat out liar when it comes to so much of his kind of lore and backstory and everything. Not backstory, I shouldn't say that. Just when it comes to him and his like, I kind of think of him as like a grifter who like acts as though he's like a socialist and not a capitalist. When it's like no, dude, you're not a socialist. You're definitely a greedy capitalist who just kind of parades themselves around as being a lib. I'm a lib, and I'm against the rich elites. It's like, yeah, sure you are, buddy. All right, let me throw on some music here. So I guess we're real quick here. Let's watch. I don't know why I turned the music up. So real quick here, let's see the controversy with him yesterday. He's had other controversies in the past. He was one of the people that said America like deserved 9/11, which was like one of his big controversies back in the day. Kind of a crazy thing to say. He said other things. I think he's kind of a weird dude. But this was the video this was during one of his live streams. All right, here we go. I'll play it for you.
America, Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop.
Oh, I thought this was the original. This is somebody else's video. So, if you couldn't tell what was going on here, I cut off when he was talking more. I thought I had a good video of it. Anyways, I guess let's watch more of it from. I pulled up Moist Critical's video.
Occasionally, I do still dip my toes in sporadically. Everything has to be content now. Before that, baby can eat is like expected to be actual delivery of the base, like content. Of course, not to the level of like some. To the next subject. This is the one that is by far the biggest from yesterday, and probably one of just the biggest topics in general, which is Hassan and his dog.
So again, to kind of lay the groundwork of what was going on, you didn't see in that previous video. There was a lot more to it, but Hassan basically has his dog. He has this like very oh he has basically this very expensive dog, which is one of my problems again with him being a liar, is like there's people that know him that have said that he claims that like he bought the dog, and he parades himself as being like this against he's not a non-capitalist, only stands for socialist values, is against billionaires and against rich people, but then like he's also like super like showboaty with like how much money he has, and he does all of these different things, but then he claims he doesn't like he's like, oh no, someone just gave me this very expensive dog that you can't buy anywhere and someone just gave it to me. Yeah, sure, people are just giving out thousands and thousands of dollars worth of dog, you know, anywhere. But yeah, essentially everyone kind of knows what he was doing with the dog. In my opinion, it was pretty obvious when he bought the dog. It's a beautiful dog, but it's like, oh, he's just using it as background ornament for his streams. He literally, in the background, if you watch, like where like where Moist is, like right here, in Hassan's stream, he has the dog in a bed sitting there, and the dog, people have seen multiple times, the dog sits there for hours and hours and hours when he does streams all day. And it's like, dude, it's obvious you're just using the dog as like a background ornament. Um, Want to see the dog in the back of my van? Excuse. He doesn't practice what he preaches, says Veronica. In my opinion, he doesn't. Um, but he just like it's highly unrealistic that a dog at the dog's age is super young. It's only like maybe 2 years old at this point, 2 to 3 years old. It's a very young dog, very big. And it's highly unrealistic that the dog during his entire streams, the dog stays in one place for like 3 to 4 hours at a time. And it's like, bro, at me as someone who's owned a dog, owned multiple dogs, if you've ever owned a dog, keeping a dog in one spot that's that young is impossible. It's impossible. And I've always wondered, and not just me, but other people have always wondered, how in the world is he able to keep that dog in one place for 3 to 4 hours? Like, dogs get restless. They get up after like 20 minutes. Like, how do you keep one in place for 4 hours, you know? Like our current dog is like 12, 13 years old, and even he can't stay in one spot for more than 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's like, uh, and essentially, Moist Critical will talk about it here, but he has a shot collar. He has a shot collar, and if the dog gets up to go anywhere, he shocks it because he wants the dog to stay in place, so because it looks pretty and it's part of his background. So,
but it is emblematic of all of
look
America's
at
much
dog.
more consequential
Dog gets up,
violence.
takes
Okay?
one step
It's the
off, and he
same
shocks
reason
it.
as to why America, Kaya, please just
Now watch this this movement here. Look at this movement. Oh, let me put my music back on. Look at this movement right here. Veronica said a shock collar. I don't know for sure. From what I've seen, it looks to be like a shock collar. Look at the collar on the dog. There's a particular spot where you can see the dog's neck. Let's see if we can see it.
violence. Okay? All of America's much more consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, it's the same.
Let's see if I can find it. Is there a place where I can see the neck better?
Emblematic of all of America's much more consequential violence.
I don't know. I can't really see it.
Okay? It's the same.
But it's super obvious. Watch what he does here. Watch what he does. Immediately once the dog's paw hits the ground, watch his... you guys can't see that? Okay, now it's... No, now it's there. Watch. The dog's paw hits the ground over here. So the dog gets off of its bed, where it's supposed to be displayed for everyone to see. Watch his shoulder over here in his arm. His arm clearly reaches up to push something. And it happens immediately once the dog's paw hits the ground. So watch here. Dog's paw hits the ground. Shoulder moves. Shocks the dog. Dog goes back to its spot because he's mad it got up.
Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
He's mad at the dog. He calls the dog being a baby because it left its spot. Like, really, dude? Watch it again.
In general,
And it clearly something happens because the dog yells in pain.
which is Hassan and
Consequential
Try this again. Watch.
violence.
I'll be quiet.
Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
I mean, come on. To me, it's like super obvious. What? That's just inhumane to Skylar. I don't think it's completely against the grain to like have a shock collar. I think there's definitely, they're out there for a reason. I'm sure there are some dogs that it's probably necessary to have them. Now, the difference is, in my personal opinion, is having one just so that your dog can stay in a spot for hours on end. That is where, in my opinion, the problem is with the dog. Like, that dog clearly should not be made to stay in a spot for hours and hours and hours. Like, again, if you put a shock collar on it because you're taking it for a walk or something and you're afraid if it like leaves you or goes to bite somebody, that's different. You know what I mean? But just having it on the dog in your house, I don't know. To me, it's kind of ridiculous. And like, again, dude, dogs are like, they're animals. They get thirsty. They have to go to the bathroom. They're going to get up. Like, staying in one spot for hours and hours is like, I mean, I want to say it's unrealistic, but because that dog's so scared to get up, it's going to get something to happen to it. It does. It just stays in spot. And it's like, ugh. But you'll see he has excuses. He says, at first Hassan says something like, "Oh, the dog clipped its nail or got its paw caught," which if you watch it closely, it's like, what are you talking about?
which is Hassan and his dog.
But it is emblematic of
The
all
dog. There's
of
no way it
America's
got
much more
its paw caught on
consequential
anything.
violence.
Takes a
Okay?
step down.
It's the same reason as the
No, Hassan raises his voice here, and what do you see the dog do as soon as it raises its voice? It gets up and it goes back to where it was. But then that's not good enough for Hassan. He decides to give it something, and then it goes back
America,
once he yells.
Kaya, please just fucking
It goes
go.
back.
Just stop.
He reaches for something. It yelps. It lays down.
Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. It's just you're making her stressed. She just literally is so incredibly spoiled from my mom.
Now, that's another thing that I found annoying was he was like, "Oh, the dog's spoiled. It got up." Like, so being a dog and wanting to get up to go get water or to walk around is spoiled. It's like, what the heck? Odin Salty in chat says this would be impossible to do with a cat. They like go everywhere. Yes. Yeah. I don't know. It's just very weird. To me, it's weird to have like your dog or any animal be like a display ornament for your room anyways. I just like, why is your dog back there? I don't know. I don't know why your dog needs to be on camera all
For
day.
the life of me, like, I cannot understand what he's even upset about in the first place that he starts like scolding the dog for. She moved like an inch, like slightly off of that. It's like in a video game, like in Metal Gear Solid, when someone gets like a fucking question mark over their head, they're like zipping to you immediately. Like, she doesn't do anything really other than move slightly, and he is noticeably upset. He is upset about that specifically. Even before this incident, earlier in the stream, he had already, gotten annoyed at her for moving around prior to this.
The absolute worst country on the planet, straight up, bar none, a capitalist shithole. Kaya, now is not the opportunity for you to down. The absolute worst fucking place on the planet. Just a horrific.
I think it's pretty clear that the dog moving off of that spot is what's making Hassan annoyed at her. Now, I saw he mentioned place training. Place is an actual dog training thing. And the whole idea behind it is...
Before Moist continues, that's so mean. It's a dumb excuse, being spoiled, yeah. Bro, I treat my cats like they are people and I talk to them and hang out with them and stuff. Now, Moist Critical is going to talk about how Hassan is going to talk about how his animal has place training, which they're not the only... I have family and friends who their dog knows the idea of place training. It's where you train your dog to when you say place, they go to their place, correct? But the point of that is not for them to stay in that place all day. The point of that is for that to be a form of punishment for them if they are getting on your nerves. So that, like, if the dog's being aggressive, or if the dog's wanting to play too much, or if it breaks something, your punishment for it is for it. You're putting it in timeout. Yeah, it's something that happens to humans. You know what I mean? It's basically, it should be utilized as more of a timeout maneuver versus it staying in that place all day. Like, that is, yeah, I guess yeah, it's kind of cruel in my opinion. My personal opinion, it's a little cruel to make for a dog, which I think that's where Moist is going to go.
Designating a spot in a comfortable location for your pet. For a lot of people, I know it's like their office if they work from home. And Hassan was talking about how that area is her place. And for dog training, place is supposed to be like their happy spot where they are super safe and they feel super secure. And the way training goes with this, at least from everything I know about dog training, now keep in mind, when we first got Tetra, we did do dog training because my grandmother used to live with my parents, and Tetra gets very excited to see people. It's the cutest thing in the world, but she loves to jump on people. And my grandma, living at my parents, when we'd go to visit, or if they came to visit, if Tetra would jump on her, it could cause injury. So we did do dog training in order to learn how to, like, help with that. We didn't do any, like, fear training or anything like that with shock collars or whatever, but place was something that we did learn about. And when it comes to place, you do not want to, like, make it something stressful for the animal, at least in our teachings. It's supposed to be a comforting spot for them, not like a stressful thing, where they just go there and fucking, like, blue screen in the brain and just sit there idly comatose. And if they don't, they get punished. So he's calling this her place. But when she's moving from the place, he's scolding her. That's not what we were taught you're supposed to do when it comes to place training. That kind of defeats the purpose of it. I don't know why he would be getting so upset at that, like angry at the dog for moving from place. That really does kind of defeat the whole purpose of it. And then in that clip, it seems like he reaches for something. Like he looks off screen and he extends his arm to something, and then shortly thereafter, the dog yelps in pain. And Hassan turns around and calls her a baby, and then tries to reassure the chat that she is spoiled, and then goes on to say that she's spoiled because his mother lets her, have free roam around the house. Now, he and the community are claiming that he didn't use a shock collar or anything, didn't, like, zap her, fucking Palpatine lightning blast her or anything like that. She got her dew claw stuck on that spot.
Yes, so that essentially Hassan claimed. He later posted that he said the dog got its paw caught on something or its nail caught on something, and that's what made it yelp. Go figure. Guess what Hassan did later on? Obviously, that's a lie, in my opinion. But guess what happens later on? He then changed the story again from that to saying, the dog has a collar, but it's not a shock collar. It's a what is it called? It was an educator, which is like a vibration-based collar, and it's like, okay, so you're changing your story again. Does she even get breaks as Veronica? I think he does. But again, even if the dog got breaks from the place that it's supposed to be in, what Moist was saying is true, is that, like, for a dog, your place that you get sent to is supposed to be like a comfortable place, or if not, at least like a timeout. It's supposed to be something that clicks in the dog's brain. Oh, I'm going here because I just did something bad. It stays there for a little bit. You let it leave eventually because it's only right to let the dog move around and drink water and eat. But, like, yeah, place in my opinion should be like a temporary punishment, or like a get out of here, that type of thing, versus a go to your place. I want you there for the next 2 hours. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And that's what made her yelp in pain. I guess quick dog lore breakdown if you're not familiar with how those creatures function or anything. The dew claw is separate from, like, the paw pad area claws. The dew claw is a little higher up on the leg. And it's an old trait from back way in yesteryear when dogs needed that extra claw. It is just now an evolutionary leftover. It's still present, but it's not something that obviously gets utilized by dogs to the same degree it used to. It is a sensitive area. That is true. If you've ever cut your dog's nails, or if you've ever taken your dog to, like, a dog salon or something and they, like, gave your dog a nail trim, you probably noticed that when it comes to the dew claw, they're very, defensive on it, like cautious, because it is such a tender spot. I have watched this clip like fucking 10 or 15 times now. And today I had some friends come in from out of town, so obviously I've been out most of the day at the farm, and this was actually a conversational topic. It's become so big that it was brought up by them. And every single person, and pretty much everyone I've seen online outside of Hassan and Hassan's community, is all saying the same thing. That yes, it looks like the dog does like touch its leg to that spot.
All right, so let's go ahead and skip ahead because I feel like he does touch on what I was talking about.
How she is about, you know, your mom. Apparently, Hassan has mentioned that.
All right, here's the video because Hassan later did start showing the item,
right before the
which here are images where you can actually see
gadget there.
Yeah, you can kind of see a clip of the collar on the dog.
A little fucking gizmo, and people were speculating that's probably the shock collar. And now today, Hassan went on stream to show the collar and explain what it is that everyone.
And I'll explain what. There's even more controversy now with this part where he gets. So let me move myself a little bit. So here he starts showing off the collar.
Okay, this is the one. This is the one that they saw. It has the capacity to vibrate, and that's it.
He talks about it just being a vibration-based collar, which. Okay.
Are you happy? That's it. Good. There's the air tag. There's the fucking vibrator. It also.
He barely shows the thing off. But another thing that people were saying is people that. On the original video, it's much clearer to see this is like terrible resolution, but people, internet sleuths, good guy internet, they were able to zoom in on this thing here, and basically because they were able to zoom in on it, they were able to determine what brand it is, which they actually found it on Amazon. It's called like the Educator, and they were saying that they can zoom in so well, and they raised up the brightness of his video. That you can see that all he did was replace the two pins on it that are the part that like goes into the dog's neck and shocks it whenever it needs to. All he did was he allegedly removed the pins, and he put black tape over the back of it to make it look like there's no pins. And it's like, dude, honestly, this is one of those things where because Hassan's like a pathological liar, it's one of those things where you're making it so much worse on you. If you would have at first had just been like, yeah, no, I shocked my dog. I apologize. I was mad. She was getting on my nerves. You know, or if you were like, oh yeah, I'll have to, you know, blah blah blah. If you would just like fess up at first, it probably wouldn't be such a big deal. But the fact that you're like coming up with first, it was the dog's claw got caught up. Then now it's a vibration based collar. It's like, dude, get out of here.
That's it. Good. There's the air tag. There's the fucking vibrator. It also has a flashlight component to it at nighttime, and it also has a.
Oh, that's what he pressed. He pressed the flashlight button. That's what hurt the dog was the flashlight aspect.
Tracker on it when she gets lost. If she were to actually get fucking lost.
So on stream, he was showing that the unit everyone saw is something that can only vibrate. It can't shock. It also has like other things like a flashlight and stuff. And then he went on to explain like why he has a vibrator there for the sake of like training and that kind of thing. Now, since this was a day later, obviously people are going to be wondering, is this real? Like, is he telling the truth? Like, you could have swapped it out. You could have changed out the previous model with one that doesn't have shocking capabilities. Because there are vibrate-only units, and there are some that have vibrate and shock. Something he also mentions that those kind of things do exist. But since this was so far after the fact, people are always going to wonder, well, did he just switch it out? And something else that spawned from this is...
Bro is not convincing anyone, said Skylar. Veronica Rose. Dumbest thing ever, messing with animals on the internet is never a good idea. Veronica brings up a great point. That's something that I was thinking about earlier, too. Well, I'm not the only one who mentioned this, but like another crazy aspect of this is probably the most canceled Hassan has been so far. And like it's crazy that like out of all the crazy stuff he said over the years, that like he said some crazy stuff, and he's invited weird people. He had like a Houthi terrorist or somebody on his stream who he was questioning and making seem like a nice guy or something. The whole 9/11 thing, just weird stuff to say. But it's funny that like this is probably the thing that's canceled him the most or gotten him in the most trouble. And it's like him messing with his dog. Americans love their dogs.
It looks like there's tape on it. So when you watch it and you like pay attention to the actual unit, it looks like there is just some black tape on it. And a bunch of people online started to try and find out what brand this is, because I don't know if I missed it and everyone else missed it, but I don't think he mentioned what model this is, like what brand or what model, anything like that. So people don't know what it is, they're just going to have to like take his word for it that this is a vibrate-only unit, and since there's no visible prongs, you're led to believe that it can't shock or anything. However, there are shock collars that have detachable prongs. In fact, the shock collars we use on Skill Check channel when we play Magic the Gathering and make a misplay and we shock ourselves, you can take the prongs off of those. I think that's a pretty standard feature in a lot of shock collars, I think. So, like, you can just take the prongs off. And when you increase the brightness here, it does seem like
Oh,
there's
see,
definitely...
see what I
I've
mean,
seen
though,
this
is
picture
like, yeah, this is the image I was talking about, where internet sleuths, look at this picture. This is much clearer. You can actually see the back of the device. And you can clearly see, in my opinion, what looks like a bunch of black tape all over the back of this thing.
floated
Right here, you can kind of see that there looks like there's like a bunch of gunk or a bunch of tape on the back of it. They increased the brightness, and they looked based on these parts, and they're like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
around a lot, and people believe that they have narrowed it down to a model called the Educator ET400, which seems to match it visually 1-to-1 in all aspects except for the bottom side there, where on the ET400 there are 2 prongs there, but you can take those prongs off from what I can tell, at least online, and in the Hassan clip, there's a bunch of tape there, which potentially would be there to cover up the holes. I don't really know what else there would be tape there for. I don't really get that. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense. But of course, I have no way of knowing 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt that Hassan shocked Kaya on that stream or anything like that. But based on the old eyeball test, the old smell test, what you can literally see, he is annoyed with Kaya. He expressed it a couple of times, scolded her. He rolls his eyes. He does reach for something off screen. And as he is reaching, it seems like when he finally gets to something, she yelps in pain. And then there's no real, like, concern from him, and instead talks about why she's like a spoiled baby. I don't see anything that she could have, like, hurt herself on. It doesn't seem like her dew claw or anything gets tangled up in the bed. So, to me, it feels like it is something he did. Even if it's not a full-blown shock, he didn't get her with, like, a Dungeons & Dragons lightning bolt or anything like that. If it is a vibrate-only unit, I feel like he definitely did press the vibrate in that instance.
Alright, well, I think we got the gist of that. Yeah, that's basically was like the main controversy. I think the main reason why that's kind of a controversy with someone like Hassan is because Hassan, I think from what I understand, is one of the larger creators, I guess, on Twitch. So, like, kind of worrisome if you're Twitch and you're seeing stuff like that. Twitch is just such a... my opinion, Twitch is a bad platform. I mean, I don't know, they seem like they kind of let whoever they like, or whoever's on there, get away with darn near murder. Alright, so... yeah, that's kind of all. That's kind of it that happened with that story. He definitely received a bunch of backlash for that. It's only been like a day since any of that, so who knows if there's any more that kind of comes from there. I think that's all I got. What are we... Gosh, we only went on for an hour, and I touched on everything I wanted to touch on. Well, gosh, y'all. Is there anything else anybody had for me? Anyone in chat got any subjects or... Last time I used Twitch was to get Twitch drops for the Battlefield beta, only reason I use it, really. Yeah, as many problems as YouTube even has, like, at least, you know, YouTube, at least for the most part, it seems to kind of self-regulate itself just a little bit and stuff. Twitch they kind of seem to they take too many sides and stuff, in my opinion. Well, anything anybody else got? This is my shortest ChazmaN live so far, if that's where we're at an hour. I sometimes go there, have someone in the background when I have nothing else to watch, said Skylar. Especially if you're pretty, said Veronica. Gosh, I don't... See, this would have been one of those things where it would have been better if I had, like... thought about. I kind of just hopped on and I'm like, what are the things that really piqued my interest? Odin Salty says, not sure if anyone else heard, but I heard about the drummer of Trivium quitting the band right before a show, says Odin Salty. I heard about that. Yeah, the drummer of Trivium, he quit the band. I didn't know it was before a show, but I know he quit. I think they said they already got a replacement. It was the Sepultura drummer, which I believe he joined. I'm pretty clued in on the metal scene, so I don't know why. I think the Trivium drummer, why did Veronica? Oh, I think he just wanted to pursue other things. Maybe he burnt out. That seems to happen a lot with music and stuff. Uh-oh. There was a hack on Discord? I didn't know that. Does Eloy still drum for Sepultura? Says Odin Salty. No, Eloy Casagrande. He's been the Slipknot drummer for a couple years now. Yeah, he's been the Slipknot drummer for a couple years now. The guy that is playing for Sepultura currently, he is the one that's subbing in for Trivium right now. I know that because me and my brother are massive Slipknot fans. Don't get me wrong, I'm running through all the YouTube videos. I'm seeing if there's anything crazy. Well, let me at least look into this Discord thing. I kind of at least want to hear what happened there. Let's see Some Ordinary Gamer. Let's see what he says. He did a video on it.
Hello, guys and
Hello, guys and gals. Me and Mudahar here.
gals, me Mudahar, and you know that Discord hack we talked about a few days ago? Well, ladies and gentlemen, to give you an idea, Discord back then said a small number of government ID images, your driver's licenses, your passports, you know, the two pieces of documents that you're supposed to keep pretty safe and private. Yeah, now every service is kind of going to start requiring that you give those pieces of ID over to prove that you're over the age of 18. Because remember, we got to protect the children against any form of internet naughtiness, even though that all of these checks and balances have really targeted a lot of platforms like Discord, like Xbox, like Imgur, for instance, that now all of a sudden are going dark in entire countries all over the world because of insane laws like this. Now, how does this situation get worse? Well, apparently, according to the people that have hacked such a service, have hacked Discord, a confirmed leak of people's IDs, now they've apparently said that they've got 1.5 terabytes of age verification photos, including those IDs, ladies and gentlemen. Around 2.1 million images are now being used to extort Discord, the actual service, for money. So your IDs are being threatened and blackmailed, and Discord, if they don't pay up, these hackers might just decide to release and leak this information. So,
Odin Salty says... Oh, message retracted.
So since this whole thing went down, we went from a small amount of people to 70,000 users that had their government IDs exposed. Which again, they
that's nice.
through the vendor they used. Now granted, I agree, it's probably a small amount of people in comparison to the overall Discord pool. But guys, 70,000 people who had to appeal because Discord system said that they were underage had their information exposed. Like, this was a problem that happened, I wouldn't even say necessarily just because of Discord. It's a problem that happened because of the age verification laws that are happening. This was the bad, nightmare that everyone was talking about that's happening so quickly. Now, at some point, you can see that the hacker got a little annoyed because Discord was being blackmailed and they weren't paying, which is obviously the thing you're supposed to do. You do not negotiate or pay out.
Alright, I just realized I'm not interested in this. No shade at Some Ordinary Gamer. I love your videos. I just happen to I'm like, well, I guess I don't really care about this. Not that saying that I don't care about people's personal information, but it's just like, this happens all the time, unfortunately. It's hard for me to be like, oh, wow, more of our information got stolen. Great, Gosh, what else can I look into? y'all. Well, I think I'm going to call it there. It doesn't seem like we have a heck of a whole lot else. That's really the only main things that I had on the dock that I found was like super interesting. I just wanted to talk about the Hobbit, talked about the Hassan stuff. Is there anything else? I can't think. If you guys want, what I'll do, but I'll tell you what, is why don't we go play some Persona 3 to close the night out? Since this was such a short stream, we'll go ahead and call ChazmaN live there, and then I say let's go play Persona 3 for maybe 2 hours or something. Nice little short Persona stream. So thank you so much to Veronica Rose, Skylar Twilight, and Odin the Salty. Sorry for this one being so short. I feel like I touched on everything I wanted to kind of touch on there. But yeah, like I said, to make up for it, we'll go play some Persona before the night's over and call it a night. Yeah, sounds fun. So yeah, join me back over there, and we'll go play that for a little bit. Real quick, shout out to the Patreon backers, Skylar Twilight, BioCrash, Tim, and Phantom Fox. Thank you so much, y'all, for your Patreon support. On screen is all the socials, Discord. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm kind of glad. I don't know, I'm kind of wanting to play a little bit of Persona, so I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, and then why don't you go join me over there? I'd say give me about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll get that going, so. Alright, see you guys in just a sec.